The cowboy almost missed her because the road was empty and the dusk was heavy, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears and makes every sound feel borrowed. He was riding home with the day's dust still clinging to his coat when he saw a shape near the ditch, still, wrong, out of place. He dismounted without thinking, boots crunching softly, heart tightening as he knelt beside her. She was alive, barely, breath shallow, clothes torn and stained by the road's grit, eyes fluttering like they couldn't decide whether to stay. He didn't ask questions. He didn't curse the world out loud. He wrapped her in his coat, lifted her carefully as if she were made of glass, and set her on his horse, holding her steady all the way back to his cabin while the stars came out one by one. Inside, the cabin was warm and plain. Wood, a kettle, a table that had heard more silence than laughter. But it was safe. He cleaned her wounds without speaking, hands steady, movements gentle, as though calm itself were something he could give. When she woke in the night, she flinched at the light, at the sound of his chair, and he stayed where he was, voice low, telling her she was home, telling her she didn't owe him anything, telling her she could rest. She slept again, and when morning came, sunlight crept across the floor and found her breathing easier. He made soup, simple and quiet, and left it where she could reach. When she finally spoke, her voice was thin but clear, and she asked why he helped. He answered the only way he knew how, that some roads teach you what not to leave behind. Outside, the wind moved the grass like water, and inside, something fragile but hopeful began to take shape. If you believe in stories where one good choice changes a life, subscribe to the channel because this rescue was only the beginning. Recovery was not a straight line, and the cowboy never pretended it would be. Some days she woke calm and steady. Some days the past came rushing back, and she'd sit on the edge of the bed staring at nothing, hands clenched as if bracing against a storm only she could see. He learned the quiet language of patience, how to set a mug within reach and step away, how to listen without fixing, how to be present without asking for gratitude. She learned the cabin's rhythms, the creak of the floorboard near the stove, the way the kettle sang before boiling, the comfort of small routines that didn't demand anything from her. Weeks passed, strength returned, laughter came back in pieces, first surprised, then sure. She told him her name and later her story. Not the worst parts, just enough to let the truth breathe. He never pressed. When the sheriff rode by one afternoon, the cowboy stood in the doorway, calm as stone, and the law moved on without trouble. Healing, she learned, could look like safety repeated day after day until fear forgot how to shout. One evening, as the sun dropped low and painted the hills gold, she stood on the porch and realized she felt steady on her feet again. She thanked him then, not in a rush, not with tears, but with the simple honesty of someone who had been seen and not turned away. He shrugged, embarrassed, and said she'd done the hard part. In time, she chose her next step work in town, a room of her own, and when she packed, the cabin felt larger than before, fuller for having held them both. They stood by the road where he had first found her, and this time she walked it by choice, shoulders back, eyes forward. He watched until she was gone, knowing some rescues don't end with keeping, but with letting go. If this story moved you, reminded you of the power of kindness and quiet strength, subscribe to the channel.